Okay, so today I want to talk about leverage, and the most important thing, leverage does equal power. And as an entrepreneur, these are the 4 phases of leverage, and I'm going to go through them one by one so you understand fully what they are. Now, in the I stage, you've just gone from a W-2 employee, probably, to a business owner. And in the I phase, you're typically a highly paid salesperson, meaning you're excellent at what you do, you have a market, you sell a product or a service, and you crush in that particular space. Now, the challenge in this space is there's zero leverage, and you're literally trading your service and time or your products for money. And what's really important in this phase is that you're leveraging and outsourcing everything you possibly can. You know, your bookkeeper, your marketing, even your something as silly as the dry cleaning and maybe your lawn, you're outsourcing everything so you can spend time inside your business and maximize revenue. So in this phase, the challenge is it can feel chaotic because you're a CEO or an owner of a business and you're doing all the things. You're the salesperson, the marketing person, you're delivering the service or product, you're doing your books, you're doing your website. It can feel overwhelming. So my best advice, if you're in the I space, is be excellent with your time management skills. That's like the number one thing. And make sure you're measuring the amount of time you're in dollar productive activities, because dollar productive activities is how you get paid. It's the thing that drives revenue in this space. And so how many times are you talking to a customer? How many times are you submitting proposals? How many times are you out there actually doing and delivering the work? Remember, in this I do it space, you're delivering the work. So the quality of the work that you deliver is really important. So make sure you're very clear about this. Now, at some point, you are like an engine and you're in first gear. You're driving down the road and you're getting really far, but your engine is ramming and you can feel overwhelmed and like there's not enough time in the day to finish all the tasks. That's when you're like, you know what? I need some help. And you shift from first gear into second gear, and that's when you go to the we do it phase. Now, it's a really tough transition because in the I do it, you're maximizing revenues and trying to drive profits and serve your customers. And then all of a sudden you decide, okay, I need a team. I need somebody to help do it. For me, my first hire in this we do it space was somebody to do the paperwork, because I'm the person that wants to plan the party, put together the elements, say what I want it to feel and look like, but I'm not the person that should do the details of pulling all the party together. Like, I knew I needed somebody in that space to help. Here's the challenge in the we do it space. You have to seamlessly move from a doer and a deliverer of product or service in the I do it to I now have a team and I have to articulate what I want from that team member. And this is the biggest challenge. They have to understand what the mission is. They have to understand what the vision is, what the values are. You have to go through a process where they fully get indoctrinated into the place that you're going. And then most challenging, and I love this analogy because I've used it millions of times. It feels like millions of times. If you've ever gone to a NBA basketball game and you've sat floor side, you see the basketball players. Their hands are huge. They're tall. They're physical. They're physically fit. And you look at those guys, and to the average human, they're giants. Well, that's how the person that you hire is going to feel to you. And so you're going to have a mindset of like, well, why don't they understand? Why don't they just do it? Because I had to just do it. And that's the mistake. Not everybody on your team is going to be a 6'7" forward playing a basketball game and getting paid millions of dollars. That's why you're the entrepreneur. So in this stage, in the we do it stage, you have to slow down, document things, give them a roadmap and a path to be successful. Now, the number one metric in the we do it space for you to figure out is, hey, how much time am I going to buy back? Time becomes your enemy in the I and the we do it. All of this is centered around your team, your time, your documented systems and process, who's doing what, when are they doing, and why. This whole side of the equation, The main focus is, how do I get more time to deliver more value to my customers, to drive revenue, so that we can grow our business and bring more people into the opportunity. That's the main portion of this side. Now, after some time, you've grown revenue, and typically this is like 0 to $1 million in revenue. This is like $1 million to 10 or 20 in revenue. And you've built systems and processes. You've brought people on to take different sections of your business. Now, the we do it can feel chaotic, because what's going to happen here is you're going to mishire. And I want to be clear about this. It's okay. You and I and every person who's ever been in business has hired a salesperson that hasn't worked out, has hired a leader who hasn't worked out. Now, the important gold or thing to pull out of those mistakes is, what did you learn? You're either winning or you're learning. And this is the mistake that people make, and they get stuck in the we do it because they're fearful of making a mistake, or they're fearful of investing in somebody long enough so that they stay with you and they stay tied to the vision that you're sharing with your team. And so in this space, what you have to do is document systems and processes, be clear about what the expectation is, and continue to learn. You will mishire, you will make mistakes, you will misunderstand the market, you will misunderstand your product and service, you will make mistakes, but the point here is to learn so that you can continue to grow. And this is the mistake that most people make. They get stuck in the we do it, and they don't make the choice to take risk and actually hire the people that they need on the team to grow. There's a whole bunch of folks in this space that hire lower level people, and there's a whole bunch in this space that hire too high of caliber people and the opportunity is not big enough for them. So the sweet spot is right somewhere in the middle for the we do it space. And that's the $1 to $20 million in revenue kind of, that's when you're in the we do it. As a CEO, you're just becoming a real CEO. You're just becoming somebody that can lead through your values and your systems and processes. This is most businesses, and just to give you some perspective, 96% of businesses never cross that $1 million mark. So most live in this I do it space. Now that means about 4% go to the we do it. So not a huge amount of people. And then to get over here, it's like 0.4%. So there's not a lot. In total, there's 28 million businesses in the US, approximately. That number changes year to year, but a very few percentage go from this one to this one. So what's the one thing that really gets you from a we do it to the they do it? It's your ability to attract talent and give away sections of the business over time. Now, the mistake that people make in the we do it is they give away the most valuable sections first, and you should never do that. Give away the admin, give away the operations, give away everything but sales and marketing first. So anything, as you're transitioning from I do it to a we do it, you start whacking off different functions inside of the business. Like, let's take all the financial stuff and give it to some third party. Let's take our operations and give it to some third party. Let's take delivery, give it to some third party. But what you don't want to do is take the drivers of success and be outside of that in the we do it. That's the mistake that people do. They give away the thing too early. If you're creating a product that is like world class, you wouldn't give up product design and innovation within your business. If you're, a sales organization, you wouldn't give up the sales. If you're marketing led, you wouldn't give up the marketing in the we do it. You'd still be involved and work with the team in order to create this opportunity. But at some point, you get really good. And what you do, you've grown your revenue to $20 million or more. And then you say, gosh, I can start through talent on my team. I can start building a team to actually run the business. That's when you've moved to the they do it. This is all about the team and the motivations of that team. So Are you getting the best people, and are they all motivated to deliver on the same vision and agreed to the vision that you've cast for them? In this space, vision and team are the main drivers to success. And these businesses, they go from 20 million to $200 million before they actually become, the lead, before there's a hired CEO or a hired. In this lead section, what you've done is you've hired a CEO or a board of directors, and you've given up the leadership and the direction of the company and the oversight to some third party. So in the you're still in it, meaning as the entrepreneur, as the leader, you are still in the day-to-day, but you're providing the vision for the team. You're hiring the right people in order to make the company grow. This is that challenge that people have. 2 years ago, we had a C-suite leader leave the business, and he'd stayed with us for a year, and he owned a particular function within the business, and I mishired. It was the wrong hire for this team. It was the wrong hire for me as the entrepreneur. And so what you don't do is you just don't give up. You know what you need to grow the business. You know that you're going to not be perfect. The success is never linear. And so we just rehired that position, and we've had the new person in for like 5 months of 2024, and they're crushing it. They're hitting all the metrics that I wanted. They're tied to the vision. They are a great member of the team, and they're highly motivated, whereas the last person wasn't. And so in this space, it all becomes about your team, their motivations, and their ability to deliver results. Here's the key. Through all of this, results and what the mission is within the business is very clear. The mission is the client-led outcome, and the company needs to be wrapped around that mission. Like, why does the customer love or support or buy your product? This is the key. If you can nail this, you're likely going to grow. If you don't nail this, your company's going to basically not succeed. And a lot of they fail to hire the right people who are tied to the mission and vision, and those people don't have the right motivation. I'm going to talk about motivations now, because in this stage, the motivation really matters. Two types of people. There are thinkers and doers. Thinkers are amazing folks, and I really like working with thinkers. I just don't want to employ too many thinkers. You want doers on your team who are steadfastly committed to execution. You want people who are so motivated that their internal, who they are, how they operate in the world means that they have to do things, and they have to do them well. And this is the mistake that people hire, is thinkers can look and feel like that. They say all the right things, but the easiest question you can ask, because remember, talent is the constraint that moves you from a we to a they. The easiest question that you can ask is, hey, what have you done in the world? What have you accomplished in your last role? And if they start talking about generalities, or they say my team and I, or they say things like, well, the market was really challenged, or I want to be honest, I didn't get to that. That's how you know you have a non-motivated thinker who doesn't want to do things. And so really important in this stage that you've got the right motivation. And I'm going to talk about team too, because everybody says, oh, it's the team. And I want to drill into what this means. If you're a sports person, you have to have forward-facing people. Like, I'm going to talk about soccer because it's probably the easiest analogy. There are strikers in the world in soccer. There are people at the front that are defined by taking risk. They want to shoot on goal. Here's the challenge. Shooting on goal means that 90% of the time, you're going to miss. You're going to attempt and you're going to miss. And you got to keep trying. And here's the challenge. If you're on a team without strikers, that's going to be a challenge. You need somebody who is not worried about risk, who wants to take the shot and isn't worried about missing. That's the thing that really matters here. Your team needs forwards who are strikers, who love taking risk and are willing to miss. Then you need midfield people who push the ball to the forwards and like being part of the team. And you need doers on your team and defenders and people who are going to step up and stop the ball from getting scored on by them. The important analogy here is on a battery. That's another one of my favorite analogies. There's the positive and there's the negative. You need both in order to build a world-class team. You need a full team that understands and appreciates the strikers as well as the defenders. A great example is most sports games are won not on defense. I'm going to get a lot of comments, I'm sure, in the comments, and they're going to bring up football teams and they're going to bring up basketball teams and all these things. But the reality is nobody remembers the teams who won through defense. People remember the strikers, the football players who score, the ones that run to the end zones. People remember the basketball players that make the most shots. Nobody talks about the 7-foot person in basketball who stopped the most shots. That person is not famous. That person doesn't have his own line of shoes. So when you're building a team, what you want is the appropriate amount of risk takers and forward thinking people, and the people who aren't afraid to be on camera and talk and express themselves, and also the defenders who are watching the bank, watching the model, watching the team, watching the culture inside of the business. So in this team, in the they do it space, it's really important that you have the appropriate mix of talent and skill, and it's a really fine line. But if you figure that out, you can move to the lead where you've got, there's a Fortune 500, right? There's the Russell 2000. There's a very, 500 to 2,000 companies that ever get to this space, that ever have the ability to move in this I, we, they, then to the lead section. Now, here's what's important in the lead section. As the owner, what you've done is you've identified a board or a CEO or a model that you want to invest in. And it's really important in this section that you're picking the industry that you want, the model that you want, the innovation that you're going to actually invest in, and you're making bets on people, model, financials, industries, a future that you believe is gonna happen. And so in this stage of lead, you need to actually take the CEO of the company or the board through this same process. Your business might be in the we section of lead, meaning you are the owner of the business and you've hired a CEO and you're teaching the CEO how to move from we to they, how to build their own team. You're teaching the CEO, or you're investing in a CEO who is in the they space that has a team that you really like and you really think is going to win. So in this section, you're risking capital and you're making bets on the future. And on the person. It could be a board, it could be a CEO, it could be an innovation, it could be a particular model. You could be making bets on an industry like Tesla. You could make a bet that self-driving cars are the future, and you're going to bet in Waymo and Tesla and maybe Uber as your bet. So you might buy stock in those companies, or you may start a company or invest in a company that has a board that has a mission around that future that you want. But the important part of this whole thing is that you're only taking a portion of your assets and actually investing it in this space. You're not the CEO. You're not in the space of doing the day-to-day. You're simply making a bet, investing capital, and basically trusting a person or a human or a group of humans in order to win for you. But these are the 4 phases of leverage. First of all, I love this topic. It's like so ingrained in who I am. And what I would offer to you, our audience, is the opportunity. What I'd like you to do is land yourself in one of these 4 phases, whether you're in the I, we, they, or lead phase. And then in the comments, if you say, hey, these are the challenges that I'm facing, I'm personally going to go into each of those comments and just give you my perspective, because moving through these phases has been the most challenging and rewarding part of my entrepreneurial journey over the last 20 years. It's actually been like exciting and also challenging, because at each of these phase shifts, you're required as a human to grow. What happens is, if you can get to this lead section, you have been introspective, you have been thinking about others, you have been giving of yourself to others. And, the greatest leaders in the world are leaving through a servant's heart. And so I'm offering this to you. It is 2025. You're about to jump into the new year. I'd love you to land yourself here. Comment below on what you're actually being challenged with within your business. And then I'll personally go in and actually give you some advice and encouragement, because going through these challenges or going through these different phases of leverage, it's the coolest experience you can ever have inside business.